Welcome in everyone, and for today's video we got another humdinger. I have been trying to upload a few times a week at least. Ideally, I would like to be uploading every day, but hey, we might get there eventually. But anyways, today's video is going to be about how I got scammed into taking someone to Memphis. And oh my god, y'all, I really hated this. I really didn't realize how much this situation made me mad. I'm getting annoyed just by, rehashing the details in my head. This is like years ago, like over 10 years ago. Before I get into it, drop that sub if you like this content. Hit the vid with the comment and consider staying a little while. So, without further ado, grab a snack, get comfy, and let's jump into this story, So, this takes place around 2007 or 2008. This is back when my religion was essentially just playing bass. I lived in the middle of nowhere as a kid, and I remember that I would be gaming or just playing bass for like at least 8 to 10 hours a day. I really wanted a better setup for like playing shows and stuff. I played with a few guys, played like local shows. Well, one day I'm just dicking around online, and I had a guy that I used to play Magic with at school, and occasionally we would go to a show or see a concert from time to time, but we'll call this guy Rye. Well, he was telling me that he needed to find a way to get to Memphis because he wanted to see his girlfriend, and I don't think he had a car at the time. So I tell him like, dude, I'd help you out, but there's a solid chance my grandma won't let me drive that far out in my car. I had only been driving a little while, since like 16, 17 at the time. So a little time goes by after I talk to him, and I get a message from Rye's girl, and she starts kind of asking me about being able to give him a ride there. Well, she seems really desperate about wanting to see him, and she tells me like, hey, like her and her family have money, and that she could pay me whatever. And so when I hear this, I'm a lot more interested now. And I remember telling her like, yo, if you can get this bass amp for me, I'll definitely try to work something out. And man, it was like I want to say it was a Gold Line Gallon-Kruger cab. And dude, this thing was sweet. It had 8 10-inch aluminum speakers in it. It's huge. Man, I wanted that amp so bad. And this was before I was out of high school, so I could only work so many hours. But back on topic. She says that, yo, I could definitely pick that up for you if you could get Rye down here. And I'm like, yo, let me see what I can do. So I'm at work, like I want to say the next day, and this is back when I was working at Crystal again, which I feel like I have to say this every time I bring it up, just because I don't know if everyone knows what it is, but essentially Crystal is the East Coast White Castle. So I'm working with one of my favorite managers, and we're sitting there chatting a little bit. And I tell him about my friend looking to get a ride out to Memphis, and, kind of just give him the rundown of the situation about Rye's girlfriend buying this space cab, whatever. And my manager's like, oh shit, dude, I actually can take you. One thing I should mention, this is actually the manager that washed my puke clothes from my first time drinking video. I'll put a card up here if you want to check that out. My manager goes on to tell me that his hometown is a place called Bolivar, and that it's like less than an hour away from Memphis, and that he was originally going to go see a family member anyway, and I could just tag along with. I'm just like, fucking word, dude, let's do it. So I had already asked my grandma if I could drive over there, and she had said no. So I told her that, hey, like my manager said I could tag along with him because he was seeing some family in a town nearby where he's originally from. And honestly, dude, I remember me and my grandma getting into a pretty heated argument about this because she was still saying no. And dude, I wanted this bass amp so bad. And I'm telling her like, dude, I can't really get enough hours right now to build up for it. And because I think it was pretty expensive at the time. And I was like, dude, I know you're not gonna help me get this thing. And I was like, I have an opportunity to get it. Like, I need this. Well, eventually I got her to cave. And dude, this was back when older people, especially back when older people thought the internet was just like a demon. Like she would never wanted to put her card info into anything online. And I don't even think I had a debit card yet. Like I don't even think you can get a debit card until you're like 18. Let me check this out. Card under what, 18? Let's see. Oh, yeah, it looks like you have to be 18 to get that. Okay, so like I'm saying, didn't even have a debit card. So your boy was looking to try to make something happen to get this amp. So I thought, hell yeah, man, it's finally coming together. Not much longer. I have my sick ass cab, get my sweet bass amp together, nothing can go wrong at this point. So I thought. Well, I let Ryan and his girl know, hey, I got us a ride, but for this to work, I might have to end up staying since my manager is the one that's going to be driving us there, right? So I tell Ryan's girlfriend, and we're going to call her Taylor from now on. I can't remember her name. And, I tell her, like, yo, can I stay? Is that cool? Like, just to fill her in on everything. She agrees, and all seems well. Everything's going pretty smooth at this point. So me and Ryan catch a ride up to Memphis. Turns out this girl lives in Germantown. And dude, when my manager found out she lived there, he was like, "Oh fuck, dude, they probably are doing pretty well because at the time I didn't know this, but it's Memphis's like most affluent suburb. So, I'm feeling pretty good, right? I'm like, well, at least I know I won't be staying anywhere sketchy or whatever. So we get there and I tell my manager, yeah, like, just pick us up in the next day or whatever it was. So we go inside and I meet Rye's girl Taylor. I say hi and everything, and we're like in a downstairs living area, and we're just talking and everything, but her dad comes walking and he says, "Oh, hey guys," in a confused, like, what the fuck are these guys doing in my house kind of way, if that makes sense. Bro, it was then I knew this fucking cunt didn't tell her family we were even coming. Okay, so I'm mixed and I've been around the South for a while. I've got a good spidey sense, if you will, about this, and I don't like to call anyone racist without absolute reason by any means, but bro, it was like the 1964 segregation ended and her dad just found out. I could feel it radiating through this man's eyes. And dude, her dad's eyes were like fucking intense, bro. They were like almost like so light blue they were gray. Like seriously, like 16 years ago, this happened probably, and I mainly think of the intensity of this guy's eyes over everything. So I pretty much just start trying to talk myself up to her dad because he's giving me this stare. And because one thing also I can't stand is just being in someone's house or just anywhere and I don't feel welcome or I'm not welcome there. So I start telling him that, I'm doing some after school programs to help with my college and I want to study chemistry and all this shit, whatever I was doing at the time. Told him that I play music, I just try to get him to feel that I was a decent kid. Because at this point, up until I was 18, I was pretty straight-laced. And honestly, after a few hours, I think her dad started to lighten up a little bit. And really, I think he started to like me a little more than he did Rye, because Rye was never into doing anything productive like what I was telling his girlfriend's dad, and he was just kind of like a stoner sounding kid. It just seemed like kind of a loser to him. You could just kind of tell. Overall, you could just tell this dude was not happy we're in his house. Well, now, so you can tell that this guy is trying to plan for being a host for two random 16-year-olds. He was like, "Well, guys, I think I'm going to go pick us up some food." And, he heads out. A few minutes go by. We're watching TV, and in my head, I'm like pissed at like Taylor, dude's girlfriend. I'm pissed. I'm like, why in the fuck did you say it was okay when you didn't even talk to your family about us even coming, bro? And this was just like our first day here. Like, so her dad comes back with some food, and honestly, man, it was some of the dankest barbecue I'd had at the time. It was an amazing meal. I literally had forgotten that I was just staying at some stranger's house without their prior knowledge of me even coming. We go back downstairs to the living area, and I'm just on my Game Boy and watching TV. This was well before smartphones, so I was kind of limited to what I had to keep me entertained. So I really didn't feel comfortable leaving this area. We were watching TV, and Ryan and his girl are laying on the couch while I'm playing like Final Fantasy Tactics or some shit. Then after a few minutes, I start hearing sounds coming from the couch. I glance my eyes over, and Rye is full on munching box, bro. He's straight up going down on this bitch. And when I looked over, I literally made eye contact with his girlfriend, Taylor, and instantly like, darted my eyes back to my screen. Like, bro, you guys can't go anywhere else. I'm pretty sure her dad wanted him to stay in the living room, but fuck, man, like, I'm being held hostage here. After some time, they settle down. Then this bitch repositions herself. Then starts going down on him, dude. They had like a blanket like covering everything, but I knew what was going on, man. It's like you can't really hide that. I'm so pissed off at this point. I'm just like, this amp better be worth it. Like, oh my god. I just go off in the bathroom and sit there for a while. It eventually starts to get a little later in the day, maybe around 7, and her dad tells us, "Well, I'm going to get you guys a hotel room." Which was extremely nice of him to do, but I could tell he just didn't want to stay with him. I could honestly probably tell he didn't want to have to get a hotel room, but what can you do? So he takes us to the hotel, and we check in and head up to our room. Bro, I get into Riley's shit. I'm like, yo, what is going on here, dude? How did she not tell her family we were coming up, dude? What is this girl about? And also, dude, why the hell are y'all blowing each other in front of me? Like, go somewhere else, man. See, I was kind of friends with Rye, but we were more acquaintances or friends of friends for the most part, because this guy could be a bit of a douche sometimes, but for the most part, he wasn't too bad. But I'll have to say, this situation definitely made me not like him as much. 100%. I was pissed off. Anyways, he's like, "Sorry, dude." He's just like kind of laughing about it like it's a joke or whatever, which is kind of is funny, but like whatever. I'm just kind of pissed because I kind of made my grandma mad trying to come up here. Also, on top of that, I was in the hole because I had to pay my manager some gas money and then I got some food up there on the way. And just keep in mind, this was all for business in my mind, like to get my amp. I did think, oh, well, hey, this might be a fun little trip anyways, but fuck me, it wasn't. So the next day, we all hang out a little bit. I can't remember what we did. I remember it started getting kind of later and I started pushing back to get to the hotel because I just felt so uncomfortable in this house. Her dad takes us back, and the next morning it's super early. I remember it still being dark out. My manager comes by and picks us up. Bro, when I get in the car, I just start going off to my manager about Ryan his bullshit. I'm like, yo, I'm out of money because I had to feed myself, and I'm also pretty sure Ryan didn't have any money either, so I had to end up floating him on some dumbass shit. I'm at the negative at this point. I'm like, dude, I'm just glad this is over so she can order my shit now. So I remember we actually stopped by McDonald's right when it opened, 5 or 6 a.m. And well, I didn't have to. I wanted to buy my manager a breakfast because I just wanted to help him out for doing me a solid. So much of a solid it was so far, but nonetheless. And I definitely want to get something for myself. But then Ryan was like, dude, get me some food too, man. I was just so pissed at this guy. I was looking at. I really almost didn't get him food, but I was like, dude, okay, I will this time. And honestly, he really didn't even know how the situation was going to be when we actually got there. But I was just so pissed at her that my anger was just extending out to him at this point. And my manager's hometown, Bolivar, man, he took us through that town and he told us, he's like, bro, this is the biggest shithole town in the U.S. He's got a population of 8,000 people, and the entire town was 3 stoplights. Dude, they even had a movie that was just a premiering, it was brand new movie, but it had been out for 2 or 3 years everywhere else though. Man, we were even driving and he points out, he's like, yo, in those woods right there, me and my friends when I was a kid found a mobile meth lab. So we eventually get home and I remember hitting back his girlfriend Taylor yo, here's where you need to ship it to and everything. I give her the link with the amp and everything that I wanted. Bro, she starts giving me shit oh, yeah, I can do that, but not right now. I got some stuff, She just starts stringing me on with some bullshit. And oh boy, I'm like, here it goes. Anyways, she ends up pretty much ghosting me, and, I'm down $200 from that entire trip, and, don't get my amp. Plus, Ryan and this bitch break up after 2 months later. So at the end of the day, my grandma's right. I should have just stayed home and grinded on some Gears of War, played some CS Source with the boys. Anyways, that is how I got scammed into driving to Memphis. If you like this content, please come through with that sub, man. Please, it helps with the algorithm, and I could use some company here on YouTube. Well, till next time, be careful out there, and as always, take it easy, gamers.